Okay, everybody, happy Sunday. Okay, I'm gonna quit right there because that was the fifth take. I'm not gonna tell a lie. That was the fifth take. Okay, Eddie's stuff is hard to play. Come on now. And I also have a confession to make. Maybe some of you guys caught it. I can't see you guys being that great of fans that you have caught this, but I woke up this morning, Sunday morning. Happy Sunday, by the way. The coffee's around here somewhere. Here's the coffee. Second coffee, because it's later now. Cheers. Got up this morning for my Sunday practice. Got on a chat with two amazing musicians about a bunch of stuff, and lost all track of time. I got to do my show. Frank Hannon from Tesla's birthday was this week. Said, okay, I'm just going to do a quick show on Frank Hannon. Played the beginning of Love Song. Went upstairs to check on my wife, who's very sick right now. Did a couple things for the school. Opened up my phone and post my video. Post the show about Frank Hannon. And then, why are all these Eddie Van Halen posts? Oh, it's October 6th. Stupid me, I did not realize that. So if you got to see that Frank Hannon show, all due respect to Frank, happy birthday Frank and all, but I took that one down and did this show here because unfortunately for Frank, Eddie might be a little bit more important, and this day is a very important day. So anyways, cheers to Eddie Van Halen, rest in peace, the king. Everything, what can you say? Every guitar that I own has a slight Van Halen modification. Just having a Strat with a humbucker in here, that's Eddie. Floyd Rose, that's Eddie on a Strat. D-Tuna on a Floyd, yeah. It's all Eddie. Everything I got. All my mods are all haphazard because that's the way he did things. He used to saw pieces off guitars, and that is the man who we love, know and love. And his stuff lives on. I told you guys about, I don't know, sometime in the summer I saw the Sammy tribute with Joe Satriani, and which was phenomenal. Loved it. And I'm not into the naysayers about Joe's playing. I know. We're all geeks about Eddie's playing. He did miss a couple notes. I even said something in the video how he missed a couple notes in Judgment Day when he's doing the overhand thing. But, who cares? He's out there doing it. You do it. You go out there and be Eddie Van Halen. You do it. I can do it. But anyhow, October 6th, 2020. Crazy. It was a normal day, 4 o'clock. I was in my teaching studio up across town, and my son, who was teaching at the time with us, which is great that the whole family can work at our place. He came in and said, Eddie Van Halen passed away. And this was just about 5 minutes to 4. My first student was at 4. And it was like, wow, I have to hold a guitar all night now and think about this. Eddie and Neil Peart from Rush were probably the biggest celebrity deaths that affected me the most. I mean, my wife will tell you that I was crying when Neil Peart died. Was that sort of thing. Because that was a huge surprise because they were very private. Neil especially very private. But Eddie, I actually thought, for a while with the cancer and everything else, I thought, someday we're going to be saying, he's gone. And that's exactly what went through my head when Jacob told me that day on October 6, 2020. And it just, and if you've been watching this show faithfully back in 2020, I think for the next 4 weeks or a month, I think I did Eddie videos basically, and ripping apart songs and stuff like that. And thanks for everybody who loved all those videos too. By the way, I think I did a few that were kind of obscure, like little guitars and that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, there's not much you can say other than the fact that he changed the world, changed the face of rock guitar, much like Jimi Hendrix did before him, and a bunch of others too. It always gets revisited, and that Yngwie came along later and changed it on another level and that kind of thing. But there's those iconic guys that I put up on that shelf that are at the top of the heap, and then there's different levels as we talked about before, and but Eddie's at the top of that shelf only because of the innovation. Everything we do in rock guitar leads back to him right now. You might argue with me on that, but there were some people that didn't like him, which was interesting. I mean, he was a bit of a goof here, kicking Michael Anthony out of the band to get his son in. But, I play with my son all the time live in our little duo, and we've done bands together and stuff like that. And that's an amazing feeling. So I have to side with Eddie a little bit on that one, because playing with your kid is an amazing thing. And everybody out there who has that opportunity to do it, do it. Even if you're getting up on, like at one of our recitals, I always invite our parents to come up and play with their kids, because it's an amazing feeling making music with the family, which I have. I'm just blessed that I can do that. So yeah, I'll give him that one. But he's made some comments over the years, and he didn't take care of himself as much as we thought he should. His weight fluctuated over the years. Smoked like a chimney in his younger years, as you know, and had a battle with cancer, and sadly it took him very early in his life. And thankfully we have Wolfgang to carry the torch. Wolfgang's amazing in his own right. He doesn't sound like Eddie Van Halen. His music doesn't sound like Van Halen, but man, is it ever fresh. And if you haven't checked out Mammoth, you should check it out, because it's pretty phenomenal. And he's carrying the spirit. Sammy doing the tribute. Some people think that maybe they should do a tribute with Wolfgang on guitar. I don't know how Wolfie would feel about that. They'd probably have to talk him into that. It was pretty tough. I know back when Eddie passed away in the Grammy Awards, I talked about that on this show, how the Grammy people didn't really, give Eddie a proper tribute. And they did call Wolfgang and said, "Do you want to do Eruption on screen?" And he was like, "There's no way I'm doing that. That's my dad's song, and I'm doing it. I'm with him on that." But then they just kind of did a little 10-second blurb of him dweedling away on sort of Eruption, just not Wolfgang, but a shot of Eddie, and that was it. Meanwhile, they did entire songs for other people that passed away that year. And it's just the usual. Let's kick hard rock guys in the teeth, And I've talked about this before with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and all this kind of stuff. Hard rock always takes the back seat. Iron Maiden doesn't get in. Judas Priest takes years to get in. Kiss doesn't get in for ages. That kind of thing is this Rolling Stone kicking hard rock guys in the teeth. And who cares? We're stronger for it, and we're gonna rise above. And who sells the most concert tickets these days? I know you're going to say Taylor Swift, but Guns N' Roses had a pretty big tour. The stadium tours with Def Leppard and Motley Crue were huge too. And if David Lee Roth gets together with Alex and Michael Anthony and possibly Wolfgang, that will be a big tour. But I'm skeptical on that. I'm skeptical whether Alex will ever play again. Dave's questionable, and Wolfie doing his dad's stuff, I don't know. Joe did an amazing job. Sammy's an amazing person. Michael Anthony's vocals were phenomenal on that tour, or what I saw in Toronto. And man, let's just keep that going and keep the spirit alive. Eddie's just is probably my favorite guitar player, right up there with Michael Schenker, Rick Emmett, and a few others that are just on my top shelf. But just for the sheer innovation of it all. Just chiseling, destroying vintage guitars to get a sound, pulling pickups out of his vintage 335 and putting it in a Strat, unheard of these days, right? The best story my best Van Halen story about vintage guitars was it's in a magazine that's lying on my floor here. If you saw my man cave here, it's like that. But uh, 54 Strat, I think it was 54, 55 Strat, comes backstage at a Van Halen show, and Eddie's wants a Strat and didn't have a vintage Strat. He haggled with the dealer guy and then settled on a price and says, "Okay, it's yours." They do their transaction. Eddie grabs the Strat, which is probably a pristine, sunburst from the 50s, takes a screwdriver and carves the numbers 5150 into the body of the Strat. And the guy who just sold it to him looked at him and goes, "Oh my God, what did you just do?" And he goes, "Now I know it's mine." Threw it back in the case. And that's Eddie Van Halen. Anything and everything to get the guitar sound the way there's some videos resurfacing now or just coming out now of him playing stuff, and there's one where he's playing a Charvel, and it's got the Steve Vai. I remember when Steve Vai had a little table here to raise the hand for the picking technique. He had that. He had to try it. He put it on this Charvel and tried it. He had to, maybe Steve's onto something, and he did that. Probably didn't want anyone to know that he was doing all this stuff, but he did it. He spent all that time just working on the sound. Another great story I heard was I was talking to Billy Sheehan years and years ago backstage at a Talus gig, and he said they were honoring Eddie at some dinner at a hotel, well, amongst some other people, but he was there and all the industry people were there, and they gave him this airline guitar. If you guys know what the airline guitar is, kind of the ones that White Stripes, Jack White's plays, that kind of plastic guitar. They handed it to him as a gift or whatever. About a half hour later, they couldn't find Eddie anywhere, and they found him in a hotel closet, just jamming on that airline guitar. You gave him a guitar, and he could not put it down and say, "I'm going to put that aside." No, I'm going to play it. And that's Eddie Van Halen. So, anyways, cheers to Eddie on the day he passed away. Solemn day. Thanks for everybody who's posted pictures. Thanks for reminding me to remember the best guitar player of all time. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. But if you did see that Frank Hannon video, or maybe I'll post it again, but it might be one of those lost things. I took it down to put this up. Anyways, thanks, guys. See you out there on the road with Bridge on Fire in October. We got some big gigs coming up. London, and looking forward to going back to London. We love you guys, and looking forward to going back to Cabanas in Cambridge, which is our home away from home. Carlos, we're coming home. Anyways, see you guys. Have a great one. Have a great Sunday. Enjoy October.